Okay, strategy guide in lap, sitting in the squeaky chair. It is I, Combo-sama, and I have returned to the Dark Souls 2, and look at this brave fellow. You know, slow and predictable. Ooh, did you hear that sound effect go just all kinds of squirmy? Oof. Oh, maybe those are my speakers. But that just sounded rough. Just like his chances of not getting parried. Anyhow, so today there will be some minute adjustments to fashion for the farming, which would be good for me. So you might see that my outfit suddenly changes from Discount Assassin's Creed to Spider-Lord Barkley, and that might be a little bit of a voyage into the next generation, but I wouldn't worry about it any. But anywho, the main areas we're covering today are the Doors of Pharos and Brightstone Cove Sedora, and the Lord's Private Chamber, if you feel like really adding it on. It's really just going to be Brightstone Cove and the Doors of Pharos anyway. In the meantime, I was just double-checking a region in this footage here. I wanted to make sure that the changes I saw to the Falconers were as they were in the first run, which is now they all seem to consistently be able to do double shots with their bows, which I find to be interesting. When I was playing it pre its final updates, Dark Souls 2 did not have that feature implemented to their moveset, thus they were a bit more boring aside from their funny waddle. Come on, waddle. Oh, I'm too close now. But look at him! Look at this man! Stabbing me in my solar plexus. Yep. I love Falconers. Specifically on New Game Plus. But man, do I love Falconers. It's kind of nice having some things taken care of. My final semester of school is more or less going to be paid off by this stimulus money going around. To date this video, I just finished doing my final exam for my last semester at my university, and that feels pretty nice. That backstab in the club did not feel too nice for this fellow, though. Past me. As you can see, fighting ghosts is really annoying if you happen to OCD obsess over locking onto each enemy you fight, which I do. I love specifically being able to isolate what I'm fighting, so when I can't lock onto them, it bothers the bejesus out of me. And poof! Look at us, going to the Door of Pharos now. I'm going to go ahead and read the area summary that's in the Dark Souls 2 Vanilla guide pre-DLC. Just reminding everyone, I have a bookie like this, and it's pretty, and I love sifting through it just to see how different things are. A cavern deep within the ancient territory of Man-Scorpion Tarkin, Scorpionus Najika's former master. Now the domain of the Rat King and his subjects. Most recently, the Gurm have made their home here, exiled by the arrogant and short-sighted humans. Countless sealed doors and deadly traps line the labyrinthine halls, all operated by mysterious devices known as Pharos Lockstones. But the architect of this subterranean vault and its original purpose are long lost amidst the shifting sands of convoluted bullshit. Okay, I may have embellished. Anywho, you have these big boys, the Mammoth Knights, which the guide chooses not to call them that. I do not know why. Shifting over to the enemy pages now. They decided to call them Primal Knights, even though their equipment literally says Rusted Mastodon. So it's a Mastodon Mammoth Knight, which is pretty rad. And then there's these Gurms, which are the only time Dark Souls has an equivalent to dwarves, and even then, the style of them is very weird. Like, there's these guys, they essentially carry a flail that's a little anvil tied to a stick, and that they can swing around on a chain. And then you run into the other types of Gurm warriors, such as there's ones that can dual wield axes, toss them, but more typically you'll run into the ones with the great hammers and the great shields. All of them are slow as fuck, and not really a problem. You'll just see me make big mistakes in this, but trust me, if you're better than me, which from time to time anyone can be, and it's not that hard to do, you will be able to avoid it just as easy. Now, I do like this kind of little slight reference to exploring other regions, because this area is called the Doors of Pharaohs. If you read item descriptions in-game, Pharaohs is this legendary explorer who hid all his treasures behind various objects as he explored the areas of the main world before we did. So you can find his lockstones to possibly unlock treasure he's hidden for no real reason at all. And this is more or less where he was hubbed at. I'm not sure why he needed what essentially seems like an entire city, but he did. And for some reason, these discount dwarves decided, hey, by the way, we'll live here too after the humans exiled us to the ground time. And I didn't remember reading anything about that. Oh, and don't mind this extra little bit right here. I kind of realized that I wanted to leave a funny joke, and I just decided, since I haven't really left notes in Dark Souls 2, that I'm all about that. And, well, so I did. Anyhow, let's read a little bit about the Gurms. A stocky, powerful race which once dwelt above ground, they were regarded as inferior by humans and unjustly exiled below. They are amicable by nature, but harbor an intense distrust of surface dwellers, particularly humans. In addition to many of the Gurm living in the Doors of Pharaohs have gone hollow and become threats to the living. So, again, now we have instances of more races that aren't humanoid that can go hollow. It's not just dogs or animals or really gods. It's all-encompassing to other races too. There are things that it appears this hollowing, this undead curse, it cannot unreach. And I find that a little bit interesting. Now, to read the excerpt about the warriors, not just like the little anvil-swinging dumbos who are oddly tankier than their own warriors. I don't get it. It's weird. Odd choices. Warriors of the Gurm race, clad in heavy armor, customized for their stout frames. These sturdy opponents can deal massive damage with their improvised great hammers while deflecting nearly any blow with the monstrous stone great shields they carry. Some have developed proficiency in ranged combat and will sometimes throw enormous axes at enemies with frightening accuracy. I actually really like fighting those ones because it feels so video gamey and it's amazing. And that's basically the Doors of Pharaohs in a nutshell. And you might have noticed that I did get to the bonfire where the Royal Rat Authority is. Fuck that. I'm not going to go there right away, because last I checked, and I do remember this game mostly well, the Royal Rat Authority is weak to fire damage. And I remember when I was in my prime of Dark Souls games that I literally converted my character to a full pyro set with a +7 pyromancy hand, and then I just schlocked up a bunch of spells and put points into faith, and I really built to just take care of the boss to get him out of the way. Fortinbras the Third? This fuck? He is not ready. I must prepare myself. I must use Hamon, the process of other Eastern blacksmiths, to really harden myself for the process that I will now undertake. And I must do that with my character, but also with myself. See, look at that wobble! Look how he walks! It's so fucking good! It's the most Japanese thing I've seen! Love that. Just love that animation. Anyway, let's go ahead and skip over there. Let's read about this big-ass quarry we're walking through that may or may not be something Leon S. Kennedy could walk by. An abandoned Brightstone quarry in a remote southeastern mountains. This once flourishing mining settlement enjoyed great prosperity during the Brightstone boom, but the community was left in ruins after an unexplained invasion of spiders and subsequent disappearance of Duke Sidora, the town's founder and proprietor. The remains of the quarry and its surrounding buildings beckon attractively to opportunistic scavengers and would-be salvagers, but no one who has ventured in has yet returned. Now, what's quirky about all this business is we figure out all about that. We know a little bit if you decide to sit down and do your item reading, if you pick up some special stuff after the main boss of this region, of which, while I find this area to be kind of small, I do like how vertical it is. It's one of the more vertical levels that isn't absolute shit. It's not... Oh, there we go! Verticality, everyone! Ha ha! Foolishness, Dante. Foolishness. Anyway, going back. It's not the version of Blighttown. I forget what it's called in this game. It's, you know, not Blighttown. Let me see if I can find it. No, not Harvest Valley, but we're getting close. The Pit. It's literally just the Pit. Oh, the Pit and the Gutter. Yeah, the Gutter is Discount Blighttown, except now everything is even more dark and even more bullshit. And they've removed a lot of mimics in this version of Dark Souls 2. And I can appreciate that. But one of the few mimics I always come across is just down in the gutter. And it's not a good time. When you're stuck in a very asymmetrical, flimsy area where you can fall to your death, and you're fighting a mimic in confined spaces, I can't tell you how much I want to say fuck off to that. So we'll see if I actually even bother with that encounter. Or if I just start shooting it with poison arrows from a distance because I'm going to run into Gavlon in a little bit and go, hey, you want a wheel? Because we got a deal coming, brother. Now, secondary confession. I don't know if anyone else does this, but sometimes when my coffee gets cold, I drink it anyway. Does anyone else just drink, you know, room temperature coffee? I feel like I'm committing some atrocity to man, and that someone will scold me at it because of this at some point. But I like doing it. I don't mind. Coffee's coffee, right? We gotta get those stimulants. I kind of think I should end up splicing in a clip sound from RE4, that's it, and just play the sound of some of the Los Plagas, like just the random Spaniards going, "Hey, a guy!" Because it's bad. Just like those enemies that do stupid damage because for some reason peasants have been given dark damage. And not really good at explaining why they do such good dark damage. Yes. This reminds me that I need to start farming just to level up my faith more. I would like to start turning into a little bit of a hexer, and given that I like over-leveling, this doesn't bother me as much, because that means off-screen I'm just going to clean up my messiness and keep what I'm recording as what's going on the channel. Just know that Fortinbras will be over-leveled most of the time, but his skill will not. It will be whatever I play like that day, and whatever that is, I guess we'll find out together now, won't we? I think we're just coming up across, I guess, Prowling Mangus. That's going to be coming up here in a little bit. What a joke. Ooh, that reminds me. I have to get Weaponsmith Ornifacts. That's a good reminder. Well done. Let's see. We ran into those parasite spiders. Yeah, that's a thing. And I found this little secret room here. It's kind of important if you want a little bit of fashion, but otherwise it's not a very needed detail. And that spider just doesn't care. It's kind of ominous. I appreciate that these spiders are a little bit special compared to like the Bloodborne-y spiders, but they literally... The Bloodborne spiders are a transparent copy-paste of these ones. They're just a little bit improved because they gave them 2 extra movesets, but otherwise the movement with the ROM spiders or the spiders you find in the Chalice dungeons, they're just those spiders, just flavored a little bit better. Now, these ones at least are parasitic. They've got that cliche thing where they're like, hey, you want a dangerous insect? Put a skull on them. Make them the Punisher spider. Scare the shit out of anyone nearby by big old skull-faced spider boys just rolling in, ruining your day. And they will, unless you have a torch, in which case they'll be deathly afraid of you. Which is why I was using that earlier. Yep. Don't need to explain how hollowing works, so we're going to ignore that. Oh yeah, when we get to that congregation, I would love to break down and explain why they're pretty shitty. Yes, why of course. You see, this fight is annoying for only that reason, and that reason right there. Mostly because you're going to fight every kind of caster with a bunch of hollows in the room and just watch the health bars do what they do. As you will see in the video, it is always best to take care of the Healy boys, the little faith builds, just so you stop them from fixing problems that you're trying to create for them. But Magnus, Prowling Magnus himself, lame. Absolute lame weirdo. Just going to read what the game thinks he is. An Aldia warlock who has occupied the abandoned Brightstone Cove Chapel and began using the site to conduct dark rituals with his congregation of enslaved undead. His minions do not take kindly to interruptions of their services and readily offer up intruders to their master as sacrifices. Now, these hollows, they're not a terrible thing to fight. As you can see, it's clearly a numbers issue and a spacing issue. And then there's that little bit of healing that makes you go, okay, the fight will now be longer, but is that really something you want to do? Because as you can see, they are not tanky, they just can regen. So it's just a matter of remove, continue, remove, continue. Avoid the Hexer, take care of the Evercasters, remove, continue. And really, that's all you have to take care of. Now, let's see, what's this about their clerics? Trying lay clerics at the service of the Prowling Mangus. How and why they became in service to an evil being as mysterious as the clerics themselves. It is uncertain whether they even retain their own consciousness or are merely extensions of Magnus as well. Oh, so nothing interesting about them. And as you can see, he's not magic resistant in the slightest. Like a basic ass soul arrow from a +5 staff, just slamming down on that idiot. The only good thing about this fight now is that it gives you a Titanite slab. That's about it. Otherwise, it's trash. It's bloody expensive. But yeah, it's trash. I appreciate that for some reason they gave the crawling hollow the name Undead Supplicant. I don't know why, but I'm glad that they decided to recycle the moveset from that thing and give it to those big lycanthrope boys in Bloodborne. That's another recycle that happened. Don't mind us, just, hey, it's a church and a Dark Souls game? Yeah, we've seen it before, right? Right, good. I'm glad we're all just acceptant at this point. Gotta see that pattern. Things you will always do in a From Software title. Be in some religious building of some kind. Climb up ladders for also quite some time. Go through a region and open a double door really slowly in an epic fashion. I like to think of it as door porn. It's a lot of door porn. This happens from time to time. And NPCs that they don't know what to do or how to write in a way that's somewhat interesting, they have to laugh. Always have an awkward laugh in a From Software title. I'm gonna let the Cromwell, the partner, talk for a bit. He's boring too.
What wonderful gifts they are. Together, they are the essence of life. Don't you agree? But now, you're lost, bewildered by your own actions. You poor little thing. Yes, how tiny and frail are we. But if your heart is yet sincere, your sins will be forgiven. Now is the chance. Anyone can be forgiven, as long as he is, no matter how terrible the sin. Surely, anyone can be, no matter, sure.
Oh, okay, sorry. I was just reading a little bit about the other things in this region that I didn't really think much about. Such as the porcine peasant. I actually really like the name they gave that one. That's the dark spirit you fight in the church area, the one with the pickaxe. That's a peasant. He has the pig shield. The one that's basically the falconer shield, or the cleric shield, but it has a pig's face on it. It's a weird joke weapon that reoccurs in all the Souls games, and he has it, so they just called him the Porky Peasant, essentially. I enjoyed that. It was fun. It was cute. But that's all she wrote, largely for that area, until we started getting into the weird business of this transversal of this section. This one can be a little bit annoying, because once you get past it, once you get past Prowling Mangus and his congregation, you enter a section that is just, hey, you remember what was the worst part of Dark Souls 1? Platforming? In a game that's clearly not intended for platforming? Oh, and I didn't talk about it. Yeah, this is me after realizing that I could kill, the little fellow for the PvP Covenant and have absolutely no repercussions for it in the slightest, and he doesn't matter. So I killed him, and now I'm wearing his gob, and now I'm getting tons of money. Because I've got that covetous Serpent Ring +1 from giving Melinta a bunch of gear. I'm sorry, a bunch of my money. And now I'm making additional monies. Once I get those Jester Gloves, those will be going on too. And the monies will become enhanced. Just money all around. Gotta make it go. And that's what we'll be doing there. So, a thing that's kind of weird, and that you will not get visually, is that these mages... And there's me dying! Oh, the Snarlback pit! Oh my god, I died again! Yeah, that happened. Day of Madness 200 and something. Anyway, what I was saying was those mages in particular. The ones in the black robes are female, and the ones in white robes are male. And I always thought that to be a funny distinction, considering when you have starting classes wearing gender-specific outfits, it kind of assumes a little bit. Or the game didn't really think about it that much. Because while the black ones are female, they only appear in the, oh wow, watch that spider just not exist anymore. The black ones appear in Undead Copes, which means all of them are female. The white ones that appear in here are male. I'm sorry, yeah, they are male. And they all just kind of hang out in Brightstone Cove. You know, just chilling. Having, you know, Grand Poobah Fest, electing the new Pope. Shit like that. But what I was going to say is, when I first played this game, my first class was a sorcerer. Because wizards are good. I like a wizard. Be broken later game, suffer early game. That's how I play. Except for, you know, now. Also, can we just talk about that walk around I just did? That was kind of funny. Anywho, so when you start as a sorcerer in this game, you by default wear the black mage robes. And it doesn't matter what gender you are, you're just given women's robes and expected to just be chill with it. And to be honest, they look really, really good. If I was more of a caster, I probably would just level them up and wear them now, and just keep the dragon leg bottoms, because I like those pants for fashion purposes as well. I'll probably almost always wear these bottoms when I'm playing Dark Souls 2. In fact, I'm pretty sure I always have. Real good fabric. Unless I'm going for a different look, I will probably always be wearing those. Yep, those and the top from the Femto boy. What's his name? Let's look that up. Because I'm bored and this section will explain itself aside from the basilisks for some reason not having their big booby eyes. Which I kind of like. It seems like they evolved to that region and that can be a nice detail. But it also could be just them trying to break up an enemy that otherwise, aside from his burrowing, doesn't act different in the slightest. That one's not going to do its crazy karate. Ah, it's Bowman Gruffrey. We're going to see him more later. But he's annoying only for that reason. But at least at this point in the game, he has like -6 health. And, oh god, my headphones just exploded from the amount of damage I decided to do. Just that just exploding in my eardrums. Delicious. We like that. Oh, it's the Grave Warden folk, but I'm trying to think of his real name, though. So we're skipping ahead here a little bit, but whatever. Oh god. I'm just reminded of the horrors that will be going for the Shrine of Elmana later. Jim Christ, that's going to be awful. Also, wow, I did not do it in this order at all. Yikes. I could always use more stimulants. But yeah, it's a lot of big old spider boys. Cutting through very earthly shaded blue, gray, brown environment. Breaking up that stuff. Hey, a secret door. Hey, a secret spider. Hey, a secret dead body. And it's not me. I have to say, I do enjoy playing these little RPG type deals. It reminds me how much I miss playing like proper like tabletop games like D&D. I started off with 3.5. Wasn't that it was good, but it wasn't as power like inducing as 5th edition is. 5th edition is just made to make you feel real good, real strong, real powerful, real critical rolly, and that's nice. I appreciate that. Huh, I forgot why I put that stop in. I should probably edit that out in a little bit. Do, 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 do. There we go. Oh, more spider. Didn't see that coming. Fuck that door, though. Now, I actually really kind of laugh at this next area coming up. Just because there's, aside from less booby-eyed basilisks and weird spider people now becoming hosts who spiders that may or may not be venom tipped or not. Like these ones don't have anything special about them. That one does. That one's covered in poison for arbitrary, scary reasons. And then the host boy comes down from the wall, showing me that he's got a little hollow friend he's using, so he can just be a big, scary Doc Ock spider backpack. So he can do his, you know, Marvel Civil War impression of Peter Parker. We don't like that. It's scary. It's bad. I'll probably go through this area in a little while too, just to get all the hanging fruit of various vertical objects, but this is me just transversing all the way to the boss room, more or less. I do kind of like the implementations of the bright stones, and that you see just all these, you know, kind of powdery, quartzy looking things sticking out of the ground. But they're bright stones. They're not bold stones, they're not fire stones, they're not whatever they called the dark stones in here. I'm pretty sure they literally just called them dark stones. It's a stone that's really bright. Oh, I love the sound effect of that too, just everyone getting hurt from moving from where they weren't. Like, it's such a good choice. It makes me love the game a bunch because I sit there and go, oh, it's a spike pit. Well, okay, I don't mind if I do. And then we just gotta kill these poor working class hollows who are just trying to do their job. And then I hit one of them and they're all like, hey, that guy! And then I was like, oh no, we don't want that. Oof. Now, if I remember right, the old placement had Pate in here, or around this area, and that's why the dialogue between him and Kraden the Wanderer was a thing. But they ended up moving him because it didn't make sense, but they didn't change the dialogue either, so sins for the Scholar of the First Sinner. Yada yada yada, yada yada ding. But we'll get into talking about Kraden in a little bit, but let's explore here. Hey look! Bunch of spiders! Bunch of bad, bunch of venom-tipped weirdos. Hit one, let all the rest of them drop, cross the bridge, and take a look at this. This is a real treat. Watch the frame rate. Isn't that fun how close that draw distance is on their movement? That happened to be an Undead Copes too, where I just watched two hollows just shudder at like 20 frames per second. And those spiders, they're basically dead because they fell on the spikes. See, let the game do the work for you. You don't want to fight a bunch of things all at once? Go outside. Kite them. You know, just do those footsies. Go outside and just strafe the fuck out of them. Let it rock. And everything gets a little bit better from there. Now, as you can see, sorcery makes me take the big coward approach to fighting these spiders, but I don't mind that too much because, well, I survived the encounter, therefore it works. But yeah, you're gonna see me do a lot of that in game where I'm like aggro with knowledge. A brazenly kill with two-handed weapon. Just grab big weapon, swing. Know you can kill? One hand big weapon. You'll do fine. Wow. And I believe, yep, I tried for this door in a little bit. Oh man! Pardon me. Blood sugar's been a little funky lately. I've either been always tired or kind of just sluggish. But yeah, this is the porky peasant that I was mentioning earlier. You can clearly see on his back that he's just got Pig Shield Boy going for days. And here you can see me trying to do interesting finesse with my rapier, and it's just not working. So I just turned into hitting the R1 button until he dies. A lot less interesting, but you know, it gets the job done. And all he was guarding was a homeward bone in this version, which makes it kind of sad. So then I'll just fart around for a little bit, roll for some things, get an item hidden in a pot, as one is wont to do. Except this one's actually good. You always want to stockpile poison. Just shit tons, infinite poisons, collect all of them, don't use it on everybody. You're gonna want to save it for later. Poison is so helpful in late game, it's kind of ridiculous. And a little bit on the broken end, but when you can't finesse or learn a pattern, just hang out outside of aggro range or just a little bit ways out from that. Just throw poison at something. If you can hit, guess what? You're going to get a problem that takes care of itself, assuming you've got enough in your inventory. And that's something I'll show later. Now, I like this area. It's kind of a cool design. I like the idea of walking on big sticky webs, and while you're doing that, you have reduced movement and spiders can flank you by walking underneath you and over areas you cannot traverse so easily. But at the same time, if you just do what I did on this end, which was exploit the big weakness of, hey, you're afraid of fire, right? Cool, I'm gonna light a torch. You just walk through. You don't need a shield if they can't hit you. All you have to worry about are these hollows down here. But it's very much worth taking the hits and just keeping the torch out because the spiders are like, I will attack you. I mean, Jesus Christ, he's going to kill us all. But what really tickles my pickle about that is that your fire is terrifying. The other hollows, they'll just walk in front of. They don't give a company fuck about the hollow undead that they have down here already that kind of just fell in and haven't been taken care of in any way with no true understanding of how long they've been here. They give zero shits about that. You're fresh. Yeah, you are the unknown variable in this candlelit dinner. And so I just kind of sat around at this point. Not really, but at the time of me playing the game, I was sitting probably on my floor, contemplating life, and the sudden and unpredictable changes of them. And I realized I could just listen, and I'll know if a spider's coming towards me when I'm not looking, because they do get a little bit tricksy. They know which way you're facing with the torch, so they'll try and flank you from behind. So I went, okay. And I just started listening for them. I think around here's when I decided I was confident enough to kill the boss. I just needed to use repair powder on my weapons. I once killed Duke's Dear Freya with, I think, a bow and arrow and I want to say a war axe or a bandit axe. All my weapons had been destroyed, just almost on the verge of breaking, so I quick selected them out while I had a summon hold them off for a bit, and I just started pulling out the worst weapons. Just things I never use. I might have been it was just something funny I could one hand, and probably a weak casting material, because I don't believe I had repair by then. And it was just very funny. I felt really accomplished by killing this somewhat quarrelsome boss with essentially a sharpened toothbrush and a little bit of cheese. Oh, man. Now, Boyd's not a story summon, he's just someone I wanted to take aggro. Because while I'm wearing my farming gear here, I am pretty fragile, despite having pretty okay health. I mean, it's not ideal, it's not in the 20s by this point. But my health's okay. I'm not, like, ignoring that particular stat. It is 20 health. Okay. Again, could be higher, could be lower. Yep, and as you can see, I used my repair thingy ding. Gotta invest in those every now and again. Unless you want to just perpetually run back to a bonfire. Which, if I'm playing it casually and I'm not recording it, you bet your ass I just go to a bonfire and kill an entire area just so I could farm it. Which I will be doing quite a bit when I am done recording here. Oh, and this fucking thing. Oh. Their little legs kind of sound like rain in my headphones. Not a fan. Great, oh, a dragon. Oh, a big old shell. The she-dog. And remember that time Warner Brothers said, hey, what if we made Shelob a sexy woman? This should have been the result, but hey, that's fine. So, thing of note, armor everywhere, except for the 2 heads on Duke's dear Freja. Let's read about this, shall we? A monstrous 2-headed spider which serves as the keeper of the writhing ruin. Apparently apparently Duke Sadora's pet, and more likely the progenitor of the swarms of parasite spiders which overran and destroyed Whitestone Cove. But what could have the Duke have wanted of such an abomination? And what madness could have possessed him to allow the destruction of his own domain? Now, first things first, it's kind of ridiculous to think about, but with the presence of an old Great Dragon from Dark Souls 1 and a fellow obsessed with a specific creature or idea, this is the Seath boss. The person who created Duke's dear Freja and made it one of the great 4 ones, the 4 main bosses of this game at the beginning, that unlocked late game, is that the Duke created something he was obsessed with. He was obsessed with these fucking spiders. I think it was the parasitic nature of them that really attracted him, because they might have an extended lifespan. Similar to Seath, Seath was looking for a way to gain immortality because Seath was a scaleless dragon. And in Dark Souls, if you don't have scales, you're not immortal as far as dragons go. So maybe he was trying to look into the nature of how to harness a parasite, doing a little nemesis thing with his hollow self. But as you can see, that clearly didn't work out. And so you have all these bug parasites just residing all of your evils all the time. Now I'm a little proud. I did forget about this detail because I start wailing real hard on that head there. I forget when it comes off, but I'm pretty sure the head of that spider will be coming off relatively soon. Oh yeah, that was me just going, oh! Yep, accidentally left the binoculars on. Yeet. The fight's not all that hard, as you can see. You just have to be kind of smart about what you're doing. Ah, yes, this is where the head comes off. Boop, and look at that. Now it is a one-headed spider with a weird anus who can shoot Kamehameha webbing blasts. Not a fan of that. I know I am not. We just take 1, 2. Gonzos. Also, can we just appreciate the tenacity of the other spiders? As soon as you kill, basically, their swarm mama, they're like, you motherfucker, you murdered my mammy. And then, you want to pick up this. Not sure what all that's privy to, but in a little while, if you come back later, there will be a little treat here for you that gives you access to a memory. But you have to be able to travel into the past first, which is a weird thing to say, but we'll get into more of that later. Just know that you'll want to come back to this region, and there's no real easy way of doing that, actually, except for just combing through Whitestone Cove. Again. But again, we'll get there. Now again, that's a big old dragon. Dragon! Rue McClanahan. And then I had a little bit of fun. See that? That's why Dark Souls 2 is good. It knows what tone is. It's consistent, it's reliable, you don't get frustrated, and you play football. FIFA 2020 never looked better, I promise. Now we're running into the proprietor of the Brightstone Cove and the founder of the mining town, which once flourished. Duke Sidora disappeared after the town was suddenly and mysteriously overrun by spiders and never heard from again, though the circumstances around Brightstone Cove's destruction remain unclear. That Perry, however, that clears things up real good. I love just parrying him every time. I also appreciate that he gives you the key to basically anywhere special, and then a single fragmented branch of yore, which we are going to save for later. Now, I'm going to start ending the commentary section of this a little bit early after I teleport in, just because I want to have you hear what Cartographer Kale says.
Hello, you've made it. The map, I presume. Of course. Take a good look.
So, adios.
Ah, yes.
Thanks for listening.
There is something I wanted to tell you. I was born in the land of Mirror. Mirror is also the home of an infamous killer, a knight in name alone. He was locked in the dungeon for multiple murders. But shortly before his execution, he managed to escape. And the other day, I saw a fellow with a striking likeness, and then, wait, well, I think he looked rather similar. No, it's true. I believe his name was Cray something. I believe. They shared some resemblance, I think. Even more flames have appeared. I don't know what causes it. Did you see the flame? It wasn't there when I came here before. I don't know what explains it. But there is something greatly comforting about that flame. It seems to fulfill something very precious, deep within the soul, something essential. I would not venture far. It was blocked by a wall, but it was crumbling, and I finished the job.